God is looking for men and women who will be totally, totally, totally sold out to Him. You'll get stoned by your critics. You'll be lonely. I think the last time I went into my office, now dear Paul was there, and he was in the chair there, and he said, Daddy, I've realized this. If we're going to walk in holiness, we're going to be lonely people.
I don't believe that any man is greater than his prayer life. I don't believe that any church is stronger than its prayer life.
There was a day when men sang, Holy, 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 and oh, worship the King. And they talked objectively about the greatness of God. Then we backslid into that gutter where we still are, where everything's about I. I'm so happy, I'm so blessed, I'm so nice, I'm so good. I, always I. Well, the difference between heaven and hell is the difference between God and I. Keep that in mind always.
And our churches, I am confident, across this land of ours, are filled with people that are going to miss salvation, miss heaven by 18 inches, because they have their salvation up here in an intellectual comprehension rather than down here in a spiritual experience and the presence of the Son of God.
My dear friend, listen. The forces of evil are crowding on full pressure today, and there's a spiritual warfare which will never cease until time runs out. And the Church of Jesus Christ has got all the equipment, all the buildings, all the plans, all the methods, all the theory, and all the technique, but no power to move men to God. And I say that to my own heart. We've never been so well equipped, but so lacking in endowment. Now, for this, each one of us is personally responsible.
The result is they die all around us, and we say they backslid. They never backslid because they never were regenerated to start with. To accept Him is to accept Him with a revolutionary acceptance. It's to accept Him completely, all of Him to all of me. It's to accept Him exclusively and not any other hope but Him. He alone is my hope. It's to accept His friends as my friends, His enemies as my enemies, His ways as my ways, His rejection as my rejection, the cross as my cross, His life as my life, and His glorious future as my glorious future. That's what it means to be a Christian. And my dear friends, it's worth everything. And if we all had to believe on Christ tonight and die tomorrow, we'd spend one eternity thanking God with tender affection that He allowed it to happen. So a cross is something you take up deliberately. It is obedience to Christ. It is doing what the Lord commands you to do and then taking the consequences. And if the consequences mean a cross, then take the cross.
And Paul says that's what the world is to me. It's a system of corruption and rottenness and vileness. It's anti-Christ from the word go. Is the world crucified to you tonight? Or does it fascinate you?
The Lord Jesus did not shed His blood so that you could have a release from a guilt complex, so that you might escape the punitive consequence of your sin. The Lord Jesus died upon the cross Not just to get you out of hell and into heaven. He died upon the cross to get God out of heaven into you. And the measure in which you are saved is the measure in which God out of heaven in you is in function. Actually calling the shots, actually controlling what you do with your hands, actually controlling where you go with your feet, actually controlling what you say with your lips, actually controlling what you think with your mind, actually controlling the decisions that you make. That is the measure in which you're saved. So don't kid yourself that because 10 years or 15 years ago you walked down the aisle or raised your hand and you've been paying your tithe and you've been through the tub. Don't fancy that constitutes your salvation. There are hundreds of thousands of men and women who troop to church every Sunday who've gone through all of that and they're not even regenerate. They're unsaved believers. They're conforming to denominational patterns that have become a substitute for a personal spiritual relationship to Jesus Christ, and they know nothing really of the life that is the birthright of the newborn. And there are going to be some tragic surprises in the day the dust has settled.